Okay, welcome to the EcoBiz show where you can get ideas to grow your business and make it greener. And today I'm joined by Alexis Bushnell from Social Media for Humans. And we're talking about social media accessibility, why it is important and how to make your content more accessible. So welcome, Alexis. Great to have you on the show again.
Hello, it's nice to be back.
Great. So a bit more about Alexis. She's a social media guide and the founder of Social Media for Humans, a movement changing the way social media works from the inside. So can you tell us a little bit more about this movement of Social Media for Humans?
I can. Essentially, it comes from the idea that social media is essentially it's for people, like real people, not bots or algorithms or like weird tech CEOs with strange hobbies and ideas. Like it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the people using it. And so we need to come back to it's humans on the other end of what we're reading, mostly. And we're humans too. We can't set ourselves up, especially as business owners, to be content creating machines who are focused on feeding social media. We need to be thinking about using social media to speak to other humans as a networking tool and in a way that actually makes sense for us and how we think and how we function, not just like, oh, well, you know, these big CEOs want us to do this thing, otherwise they're not going to show our posts to people. So we're going to break ourselves down and burn ourselves out trying to do it.
Yeah, brilliant way of looking at it. And, because I think it just makes looking at it from that angle just makes it a lot easier for people as well, doesn't it? But obviously easier, but we want it to be accessible. So why is accessibility important and what do we need to think about?
From an accessibility point of view, I tend to explain it as being basically if your content is accessible, more people can imbibe it, they can consume it, they can get whatever message you are sending out of it. If you put up a post that is inaccessible, there is quite a large percentage of people who won't actually read, understand that post. And so it's really just a case of ensuring as many people as possible can actually get your message. So things like including alt text if you're posting photos and GIFs, even video descriptions if you're posting on Reels and things like that, captions on videos, including stories, and thinking of also emojis are a big one that when you use an emoji, a screen reader will read the description of the emoji. And depending on which emoji you use, depends on what the description is. And also, if you have skin tone variations on the emoji, then it will include the skin tone description additionally, as well as the descriptor of the high five or whatever. So it's thinking about do you really want five high five emojis on your tweet when a screen reader is going to have to read the whole thing 5 times? That's kind of annoying pretty fast. So it's just trying to be conscious of these little things that make social media as a whole more accessible for more people.
Okay, that is something I did not know on emojis. So I've learned something new today. So what are some of the ways that we can, sort of going a bit beyond that, sort of make our content more accessible? What are the little things, tips and that you can recommend to people?
Image descriptions are a big thing, especially if you're on places like Instagram. So it is a very visual platform. So ensuring that you've got some kind of image description under every image you post that explains what is important about that image. And the best way to think about it is you don't have to describe every single thing in the image. Think about why have you posted this image with the caption? What is actually relevant in the image? If it might be that the key thing in that image is the specific people in it and the pose that they're doing, or the thing that they're holding, or the key thing might be that there is something happening in the sky above this landscape that you've posted. So it's getting across what is actually important in the image that provides the context. So you don't have to describe every single little thing. It's learning what actually adds that context that people who maybe can't actually see the image or the nuances in the image will need to make everything make sense, so that they have the same information that somebody who is sighted and is able to see that image can see, can understand.
Okay,
So
yeah,
image, yeah,
I've noticed you doing it on your LinkedIn posts, and
yeah.
I was like, oh, I can see, and I thought maybe that's something to do with accessibility. So, what do you just put them in little brackets at the end of your post?
You don't have to do brackets. You can just put image description. You could. I have got into the habit of putting them in image ID in square brackets, just because I got into that habit, and now it's a habit. But you can just write image description, image ID, image of whatever. Um, there are alt text options on LinkedIn and Instagram where you can essentially embed that into the image. However, there are a lot of reports that they don't always work. So, would recommend putting it in your caption as well,
Yeah.
or focusing on leaving it in the caption. The alt text option on Twitter, much, much better. You can go into settings and enable alt text. I think it might be enabled by default now, actually. When you
Okay.
post an image to Twitter, underneath it, you will get a little add description button. If you press it, you can just type in your alt text there. When you post the image, there will be a little alt button in the corner, and if anybody presses it, they can read the image description. So Twitter, to be fair to them, they do a lot of things wrong, but accessibility they work really hard at.
Oh, right. Okay. And does the same apply in Facebook and Instagram as well? Do they have that
Yes,
option, or do you
yes.
have to add it manually?
They have the option. Facebook has the option. If you post from Creator Studio, you can add alt text from there. I think they have now removed it if you're posting from a page in Facebook itself, but they keep moving stuff around at the moment. Um, but you can also use just the caption section of a photo on Facebook to put the image description, and then have the actual caption in the caption bit, the the large text portion, rather than in like the caption of the image.
Okay, brilliant. And I think, yeah, I mean, the same thing applies on websites as well. Whenever you're adding an image, is
Yeah.
adding that alt text to describe it. And I think in the past, a lot of people were just filling that with keywords to try and get up on Google. But obviously, it's for people who, accessibility is an issue. They want to know what that image says, not that it's got 100 keywords for what they want to be found for. So I
Yes.
think it's all moving that way, isn't it? That it's got to be more
Yes.
human, and it's not about just trying to beat the algorithms. So
Yeah.
that's some really good tips. I did not know that about
Yeah.
on social media. So thank you. I think that's a great one for our audience to know that. Um, and finally, we get to what is your top eco tip, as we always ask on the show.
This is kind of a cheat one. I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking this is a cheat one, but I'm going to give it anyway, because my tip is make your content accessible. Because if you're posting about like your amazing eco tips, or this thing that you've tried, or this place you want to recommend that's really eco-friendly, and not everybody can actually access the post because you're not using accessibility things, then that's not very helpful. So let's just
Mm.
make our eco content available to everybody.
Absolutely. I think and the easier you're making it, the less time they're going to try sort of figuring it out or what it is, isn't it? So that's, if you could stretch it out and say, well, it's using less energy and it's making your life easier trying to, stop searching for things. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much. So where can people find you? I know you've got social media for humans.club. Is that the
Yes.
best place for people to go to? And
Yes.
you've got a membership, isn't it, that teaches people how to build an effective social media presence. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so anything else that you can add sort of for people to get in touch with you? What's the best way? Follow you on LinkedIn or?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. If you search for Alexis Bushnell, you will find me there. Where I also post general accessibility information. So if you want to learn more about that stuff, that is out there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Real pleasure to have you on the show again. And I'm sure you'll be back because you're just full of such great tips for everyone out there. And we'll, hopefully catch up with you again in the new year. And for those
Thank
of
you
you
for
who are
having me.
watching or catching the replay, thanks for joining us. There's loads more information below the post. So subscribe to our YouTube channel or sign up to the email newsletter so you can have it delivered to your inbox. Thanks so much, Alexis, and we'll see everyone else same time next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.